All right, my friends, after a year of being self-employed, I thought it might be kind of interesting to share with you where my passive income is coming from in order to help pay the bills. Now, I knew after the first year I need to tap into my IRA, which I've had to do, and I'll have to do again because I knew for a fact the first year would not be, let's say, abundant cash flow. So if you're going to the self-employment passive income route, and I always chuckle at passive income because I'm working harder now than I ever worked in my life, but I love it. So again, is it work if you enjoy what you do? I don't know. It will be work if I don't make enough, so I have to go back to a crappy old job. Yes, that would stink. But because I enjoy this so much, I'll continue to do it until basically the good Lord takes me home, if you will, or until YouTube demonetizes me. So let's go over the four things. I got four sources of passive income. And I'll share them with you. Now, I know other guys have like 7 or 8. I don't even know what they do. I frankly have identified a few that I want to focus on because I like it more. Other stuff I don't like as much, but I'll share with you. So the first one is YouTube by far and away. It was over here. Let's see, can you read that? YouTube. I make about $120 a day on YouTube. Now that only started monetizing towards the end of August. All right, so $120 a day is basically what I've been averaging last month. Before that, when I first started, it was about $30 a day. Went up to $60 a day. Stayed at $60 a day for a while. January it dropped. It went. Let's see, December was, I can't remember. But anyway, it's gone like this, and then it kind of fell back again. And it's weird. So it's gone, then fell back, and it's kind of slowly, gradually, and up again. So it's strange how it works. I think it's just a matter of advertising companies and how much when they advertise for sure. Last month, TurboTax was by far and away, my biggest source of income off of YouTube, which obviously tax-related firms were advertising a lot. So I got a lot of money off my TurboTax videos by far, which is nuts. I wasn't even expecting that at all. It's interesting. So on YouTube, you just don't know what your videos are going to be, which is why you got to do a bunch, man. And I don't just do them to throw them out there hoping one catches. I mean, kind of you do. I do it A, because I'm interested in it. B, I think you'll find it interesting. And C, I think I do keyword research too to see if there is an interest. I've had some videos on estate tax and gift tax that I've done just because it's of interest to me, but there's just not that much of a search traffic for that. So I knew it would be a very small niche of interested parties, not enough to make much money on YouTube, but I still find it interesting for sure. But but at the end of the day, you just don't know. You don't know which one's going to kick in. You don't know, and some kick in. You're like, really, that one? Some don't kick in, and you think, man, that's a great video. Some the production's horrible. Like one of my best videos, the screen's bad. I mean, it just goes in and out of blurriness, and yet. There it is. Still got it's interesting because even though there's a lot of negative comments, still got a high average retention time, which is what you always want on YouTube. Average view time and average retention time is some of the same thing. So if you have a 10-minute video and you get 1 million views, but they're only watching it for a minute, that not quite that good. If you have a 10-minute video and you got 300,000 views, just using that for example, and they're watching it for 7 minutes, that's much better. The YouTube loves average watch time, and they love it relative to the overall length of their video in terms of the average duration relative to the video. I will say my videos are typically a lot longer than others because I'm long-winded. I get that, and some people, you're right, whatever. But I will say some folks made a deliberate effort to try to keep videos shorter, and I don't do that is because the whole point about YouTube is you're educating people, man. You're relaying value. And there's this guy who did like the 60-second financial plan. I sat there and said, man, if people, I didn't get it, and I don't think he does YouTube anymore, I'm sure, because it was a success. So it was like 60 seconds to talk about detailed financial planning topics. If that's all that people can listen to absorb, that's hell. We're all in a world of hurt. So anyway, YouTube, you got to have value. Do stuff that people are interested for sure. It's got to be long enough for YouTube to recognize your video because YouTube's number one priority is YouTube. So they want people watching your videos longer. The longer they watch your videos, the longer they're engaged, the more ads they can sell. It's not rocket science here. It's no different than NBC News. I mean, if no one's watching them, NBC News, they're not going to charge a higher ad premium. It's literally that simple. So just keep that back in mind. So I'm making about $120 a day now. Again, it started off at I think I was making 15, then it went to 30, then to 60, then to 150. Actually, I think it went to 90, then to 150. Now it's back down to about 100 or so. So I'm pretty happy with that. 120. I mean, I figure that's about $3,500 a month, which is more than my mortgage. So I'm very comfortable with that. Now it's not enough to my mortgage plus is not, but it does the job. So I'm very comfortable with that. And at the end of the day, I was always hoping to get YouTube to be able to pay my mortgage. If I could get YouTube to pay my mortgage, I'd be in a happy place. Now, whether or not that stays, I literally don't know. I don't know if this is my first year. I just know in August I was making $15 a day, and then it started going like that, which is good. All right, so number 2 is books. So I sell, my books. I make about $10, maybe $15 a day here on my books, which is nice. Now I do advertise on my books too, so that's not a net. I probably average. I think I spend $10 a day on. It's 10 or 5. Let's just say 10. So I spend $10 a day on average. So I'm only making $5 a day when you factor in advertising. I think the books. My premise is. Get people to read my book, and then they might look me up on YouTube. They might look me up on other things for sure, my blogs and whatnot. And if they can do that, the advertise the book is kind of like to get people to know who I am. And then if they can see the books, they like the book, then they might be more inclined to go to my YouTube channel, which give me more views, more watch time, whatnot. So basically it's like a sunk cost, a one-time fee for advertising to get the name out there. I've done Facebook ads and I've done Google ads, YouTube ads. I actually pretty successful on YouTube ads. I got to do those again. I was getting like 3 cents a view. And if you think about it, my friends, and I'm just telling you, because so many people undervalue YouTube. And I think it's just a fear of being on TV. And that's too bad. It's good, but it's bad because once you do it, you find it's not that big of a deal. But you just got to go into like anything. No one's going to watch initially. No one knows you. No one cares. And frankly, you just got to ignore the naysayers like, I mean, you just got to ignore it. You just got to do it and get comfortable with it. And then you'll say, okay, I'm pretty good at that and I have something to offer. But you have to have some value. But anyway, so having pretty good advertisements on YouTube to, again, direct people to my YouTube channel, I just stopped and I need to get back to that. I was getting like 3 cents a view, which is pretty cheap actually. But if you're going to do YouTube advertisements, just make sure you have a catch on the front end. I mean, I've seen lots of advertisements. I still know what I just watched. I mean, that's fine. People want to pay for it, but like, what was that exactly? That's more of the professional, highfalutin companies, which I guess they got money to burn because their advertisings are horrible. But if you're doing on a budget like I am, and probably you are if you're watching this video, you got to get a hook on the front end. The value. What's their value proposition that someone can take away from it? I.e., do you know the taxes you're going to pay in retirement? They are brutal. Watch this video to learn more, or something like that. And it's a challenge because YouTube, they get nervous about certain ads. I had one that said, you don't need to retire on $950,000, which is one of my top performing videos. They didn't want that advertisement because they said it was overpromising. I was like, okay. So, it's their platform. We're all just sharecroppers on it. Do what they tell you to do, and you can find a good ad. But just make sure you got the hook in there, or else it doesn't mean anything. All right, so number 3 is I started my podcast at Anchor Podcast, and I'm making about $5 a day there now too. Now that's a day. All right, so my podcast from Anchor.fm is starting to pay off a little bit. I'm seeing that, and Anchor.fm. Can you read that? Anchor.fm. It's completely free, man. It's freaking awesome. I love it. So they just started monetizing me, I guess, a month and a half ago, maybe not even that, probably a month ago. And I've noticed that I'm getting about $5 a day there now, which is pretty. I'm pretty stoked by that. And my viewership or listenership has grown as well. So I'm getting about 500 downloads a day. Yeah. So that's good. I like that. And that's on the very beginning. Literally just within the last month, they started offering monetization of that. So that's really got me keen on getting back in the podcast thing. So I like that quite a bit. So, I don't know where that's going to be in a year. I had no idea. But if you can get, let's say all these things, I'm hoping to triple my money in all these things. I mean, if I can triple my money in Amazon, triple my money in podcasts, triple my money on YouTube. YouTube's the primary one for sure. That'll be in a good place for sure. Will that happen between now and this time next year? Man, I got no idea. But I'll go down swinging for sure. But the Anchor, I was not expecting to get money from the podcast, which is freaking awesome. I got 3 sponsors on there now. They're not to me specifically, but I like them all. Anchor is one of them. Squarespace.com is another, and I think it's a Black Tux is another. I like all the products. I mean, look, I don't know their customer service. I know I love Anchor. I know many people use Squarespace, and they like it quite a bit. Black Tux, I don't know anything about them other than what they tell me, which is that you can order your tux online, which for me, I'm like, oh, what a freaking awesome idea. Keep it simple, stupid. But, various sponsors come and go, but now that Anchor has, I guess, found me legitimate enough, they say you can start monetizing that with sponsors, which I freaking love. All right, my last one is an affiliate product. A lot of people focus on this, which actually always kind of turned me off. Affiliate sales. All right, so that's when you say, hey, I got a link in my show notes to some book or something like that, and someone types on Amazon and they buy your product. I did sign up for some other affiliate platforms, whatnot. Frank, I'm too focused on YouTube and writing to really pay much. I don't have any other, let's see. I was going to do affiliate through like NHL.com, where if someone bought NHL products on my website, I get paid. I just don't have, frankly, I don't have the ambition enough to focus on that like you need to. You just got to find a couple things to focus on that, like white on rice, and just you'll do better than most people if you just focus. My concern for me is I know me, and I'm like all over the place. I go to bed at night thinking I can do these videos on this, that, and the other, and I wake up next morning and I was like, oh, squirrel, and I'm like, ah. So I can't do that. So like these other affiliates, they'll do, I'm selling a course, or I'm affiliate with this course on financial planning. I get paid $20. All that, like Personal Capital. I'm affiliate of Personal Capital. Let's give that example. Anytime you sign up to Personal Capital through my link, I get $20 and you get $20. It's only happened once. Just kind of push enough. Frank, I don't use it enough to quote unquote sell it. I like it. You should use it. If you do use it, do it through my link. Fine. And I'll put it in the show notes. But to do affiliates, I think you really have to be honest. It's got to be a product that you use quite a bit. It's got to be a product that you definitely can stand behind for sure. Because this is your fan base. This is your client base, essentially. The people who trust you implicitly. And if you just start spouting off of various products, I don't know. There's a couple guys I follow who I like quite a bit. But every now and again, they just get in this little spouting thing on various products. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I need to leave a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't want to be that guy. And now I'll do affiliates on books all the time because I read tons, and I have read tons, and you should do this too. But on affiliate products, I don't know, some course, Personal Capital, which I don't use that much. Again, Personal Capital's fine. I don't want to make light of that. I like those guys. You should use it for sure. But if other software, other programs that I don't use, I'm not gonna do that. But I make about affiliates I think I'm making about $1.50 a day there. And again, I don't really sell this or focus on this very much. Where's my purple? $1.50 a day there. So I'm making $1.50 a day there on affiliates. Oh, Anchor, I'm making $5 a day. Okay. All right. So between them, I'm making, let's see, 120 from YouTube plus 1.5 plus 5 plus 5. All right. So all four of these things combined after 1 year, that's 120, 130, 131.5 a day times 365 equals, and I don't know, so I got to get my trusty calculator. If I'm making $131 a day times 365, all right, so let's get our trusty calculator. 131 times 365, that's be $48,000. So that's not so bad. Will that pay the bills? Is that right? 120 times 120 or 131 times 365. Yeah, that's $47,815. A year. Now, can you bank on that? No, because you hear about these guys being demonetized. You hear about sponsors go back and forth. This is just assuming that the sponsors pay. Sponsors won't pay if they're not increasing their bottom line. That's just a fact. I've just so many things that has to go in here. But if I could make 50,000 between now and this time next year, just right here, I'd be pretty happy with that. I mean, it's nowhere near what I was making before, but for year 2, year 1, I made 22,000 bucks, I think, 30,000 bucks. Year 2, just based on these numbers, would be 48,000 roughly. That was 4,000 bucks a month. I'll take that. Ideally, I'm hoping to make 60,000 this year. Year 2, 5,000 bucks a month. But as the YouTube channel grows, which it does, I think that's well within the opportunity there. We shall see. I mean, I don't know. That's the nice thing about believing in God, my friends. And when you believe in God, it's liberating. You say, God, I'm going to do what I can do, and you're going to take care of the rest, and it's all good. And that's another thing about your goals. I guess I'll make a little thing. You can't focus on your net results. You can't. You can only focus on your inputs. Man, I cannot stress this enough. You can't focus on the results. You can only focus on the inputs. My input is I can write a book. I can do a podcast. I can do a YouTube video. I can tell you about a product I like. I cannot focus on what comes from that. I just can't. And that's where I think a lot of people make the mistake. Like, I was reading some lady on Facebook yesterday. She had a goal of 20,000 subscribers in her YouTube channel, and she got it. That's great. And she's all happy. And I said, the sad part about that is, what if you didn't get it? Would you be sad? Would you be depressed? Would you say, oh, woe is me? I mean, you can't control if someone hits the subscribe button. You can't. You can control, though, if you do a video that's illuminating enough for people to want to. So it's just, when you're setting goals, you can't set goals on net results. You got to set goals on inputs. That was one of the biggest things that ever happened to me. A guy named Hemsley, he did a study, or he was a psychologist. I think something happened to him. I don't know what. But his daughter has taken over his company, Darcy Hemsley Brown. And I try to get her on my podcast. Maybe I'll try again one time. But anyway, this is back in 1983. I'll never forget this. He says, stop focusing on the results. Focus on the inputs. And if you need to increase your inputs, reward yourself for the input, not the result. And he would use this thing like, you're going to make a cold call to some guy. Just pick up the phone. Give yourself a M&M. Dial the digits, give yourself 2 M&Ms. You hear the phone ring, give yourself 3 M&Ms. The guy answers and you say, hey, this is Josh Scanlon, I got some municipal bonds, would you be interested? Give yourself 5 M&Ms, whatever. I mean, he just uses that as an example. And the guy tells you to go screw off. The guy says, Josh Scanlon, I hate you. The guy says, you're whatever. You hang up the phone, give yourself 5 M&Ms, you brush it off. No big deal. And then what happens is you make a game out of your rejection. They're not rejecting you. They're just making it a game. And you say, at the end of the day, the more inputs I have, the more the results will be. I don't know how, when, or where those results will come, but I do know if I don't have enough inputs, I will not get the results I want. If I have enough inputs, I could get the results I want. I'm more likely to, if that makes sense. And I always love that. He said, you just got to make a game. And once you start doing it like that, we make a gain of the negatives. I literally just don't care. Like trolls. Hey, Josh, you suck. Yeah, I don't care. Actually, you do still care. I'm not going to be this guy got not into it, but he's like, I'm not going to let my 5,000 peeps know who you are because you're not taking constructive criticism and how we think you should blow your nose or something like that. I was like, dude, I just don't care. I just don't care. And I fired back. I'm like, look, man, I don't care. You got to do what you got to do. Now, if I truly didn't care, I would not have fired back at him. That's for sure. I get that. But it's still just like the arrogance, like I'm like, what, dude, whatever. And so sometimes I still got to stick it back into him. I shouldn't do that. I should just say whatever. But but you do care to some degree, and you always will. You always hate being told no. But what you got to do is say, I don't care. I'm going to do an input. I'm going to do an input. I'm going to do an input. I'm going to hear negatives. Oh, Josh, your computer was too blurry or whatever. Yeah, that sucks, man. I wish I would have known that. But I'm not doing a fourth different take on that. I'm just going to have to go on because you can still hear the auto. Oh, Josh. And look, constructive criticism is wonderful. I mean, I've gotten huge amounts of feedback, positive, constructive criticism, which I've taken. I've got my MacBook, for instance. It's great. I'm not trying to make light of constructive criticism. At the end of the day, though, you just can't shoot for the perfect video, the perfect podcast, the perfect book. You just got to get something out there that you feel that you're comfortable with, that most people need to read, that will find value out of it, even if it's not perfect. That's your input. And then you got to tell people about it. And the second part of the input is you got to get done. The second thing is you got to tell people about it via advertising, just being, taking a megaphone. You got to do something to tell people about it. And sit in an elevator, however you strike up a conversation. the input. You can't say, oh, that guy told me to go to hell, I'm never going to do that again. No. You got to do the inputs. Don't focus on the results. Right here, I'm happy with, and I care about it because I got to pay the bills, but focus on the inputs. What I'm doing here is 10 times the only thing that matters, because this is the only thing I control. I can control this, what I do today. I cannot control this right here. It's completely out of my ability to control. So why would I make a goal out of what's out of my ability? Then if the goal doesn't happen, something wrong with me? No, it's out of my ability. But if I make a goal of 1,000 videos, which my goal is over this next year, 2019, I'm doing 1,000 damn videos. If I don't, who do I blame? This guy right here. If I do 1,000 videos, I'm only making $2,000 a total on YouTube. Who's to blame? Well, I did everything I could. That's up to the big guy upstairs. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, so that's my 4 passive incomes. That's my suggestion. Do the inputs, the inputs, the inputs. Worry about the results. You can't worry about it because it's out of your purview, whatever it is. You just can't worry about the inputs. Aaron Hemsley, I think it's aaronhemsley.com. Maximum sales. I'll put a link. I don't get paid on that or anything. Darcy Hemsley Brown, the daughter. It's just, I'm telling you, some of the best stuff you'll ever read is the psychological stuff on sales, on techniques, on positioning and things like that. It helped me in every aspect of my life, not just being a financial advisor, but everything. To recognize the inputs are what matter. Working out, all right? So now I reward myself to come down the gym. I throw 3 Hershey Kisses in my mouth. Just coming down here is 3, which incentivizes me to get down here more because I love Hershey Kisses. All right, put up some, you can't see it, but I put up those weights right there. I was doing some pretty heavy squats yesterday. 3. You know what I'm saying? Just reward. Do the first set, 3. First rep, 3. I mean, anything you want to do. Just reward yourself for positive behavior and give yourself a break. Give yourself a break if the behaviors you do don't lead to the outcomes you're hoping for. It's out of your control. Just keep doing positive stuff. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.